I do not own the rights to this music.
Lord, remember David and all of his afflictions. He remembered Paul and Silas, who were jailed for their convictions. He remembered a poor wretch like me when I was in a valley of sorrow. I know He won't let me down. He'll be the same today and tomorrow. Oh Lord, He knows my heart and He knows my fear. All of my problems He will heal. I know my soul is a witness. Oh Lord, yes, my soul is a witness.
Hello, and welcome to Sunday School Summary with Brother Ron. Sunday School lesson for Sunday, July the 26th, 2026. Our reference material for the Sunday School Summary is based upon the International Sunday School Lesson Series as published by the Sunday School Publishing Board. We are discussing faithful witnesses as the Summer 2026 lesson series, and it is a discussion of men and women of the Old and New Testament who testify to God's promises, accepts and acknowledges the power of a relationship with Jesus Christ, and testimony to spread the gospel or the good news of Jesus Christ. The title of our eighth lesson comes from Unit 2 in the Summer 2026 lesson series, and it is titled Living with What You Didn't Ask For, or Living with and Embracing God's Purpose in Our Lives, even though we do not fully understand them. The key verse comes from Luke chapter 2, verse 19, and it reads, "But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart." So she reflected on these things that was happening in her life, and she pondered them or treasured them in her heart. The title of today's lesson, Living with What You Didn't Ask For, comes from the books of Luke and John. And Luke was a disciple, apostle of Christ, a physician by training, and a traveling companion of the apostle Paul. Luke wrote this letter to provide an orderly account of the events in the life of Jesus and to share the gospel or the good news with a brother named Theophilus, who was new to the Christian faith. The apostle John, son of Zebedee, was an eyewitness and disciple whom Jesus loved, and he wrote the book of John. And John wrote his gospel to strengthen the faith and provide a deeper understanding of Jesus as the Son of God. Luke and John weave together the key moments in the life of Jesus as experienced through the lens and faith of those around him, beginning with his mother Mary, which brings us to today's lesson. There are three summary lesson points for today. A faithful witness embraces the unexpected, and that comes from Luke chapter 2, verses 15 through 19. And a faithful witness trusts God's timing, from John chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. And lastly, a faithful witness endures the unthinkable, and that's from John chapter 19, verses 25 through 27. The passages for the lesson today revolve around the key words of faith, wisdom, witness, and the word. And we know that faith, or faithful, is complete trust, assurance, belief, or confidence in God. It is the faith of Mary to embrace and reflect on God's purpose in her life as the mother of Jesus in today's lesson. And wisdom is the ability to apply experience, knowledge, and understanding to produce good judgment. It is the wisdom of Mary to reflect on God's purpose for her life amid uncertainty/understanding to produce good judgment in today's lesson. And witness is a person who provides evidence, testifies to a fact, or shares their personal experience with God. It is the witness of the shepherds, Mary and John, that Jesus is the Christ in today's lesson. And the Word is the scriptures inspired by the Holy Spirit that communicate God's laws, wills, and prophecies as embodied by Jesus Christ. And the Word is to trust God, wait on His timing, even when we do not understand his purpose in today's lesson. Our first summary point is a faithful witness embraces the unexpected from Luke chapter 2, verses 15 through 19. And these passages record the shepherds' visit to the manger to witness the Jesus' birth. And it says that when the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said one to another, "Let us go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has made known to us." So the Lord has inspired them by the visit of the angels that the birth of Jesus has occurred in Bethlehem. So they hurried off and found Mary, Joseph, and the baby lying in the manger. And after they'd seen the child, they spread the message that they received about him. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. So the shepherds made a public testimony of what they had seen and what they had heard. And Mary did a personal witness, or inwardly, she treasured all of these things and pondered on them in her heart. So whereas one was jubilant and told everybody what they had experienced, Mary was reserved and reflective on what God had entrusted her with. Our second summary point is a faithful witness trusts God's timing, and it comes from John chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. And these passages, John records a wedding scene at Cana. And it says, on the third day of a wedding that took place at Cana in Galilee, Jesus was there, and his disciples was also invited to the wedding. And the bridegroom ran out of wine, and Mary came to Jesus and informed Jesus that they have no more wine. Jesus' response was, "Woman, what is it that to you and to me?" And Jesus replied, "My hour has not yet come." And his mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." So the bridegroom ran out of wine, and Mary asked herself the question, what would Jesus do? And Mary went to Jesus to ask him, or to tell him about the condition of the bridegroom or the wedding party. Jesus' response was not an automatic okay, but makes it clear that his mission follows God's timing, even though he chooses to help. So the point is that Jesus did in fact turn the water into wine, but it was based on God's timing and not Mary's timing. Third and final summary point comes from John chapter 19, verses 25 through 27. And these passages, John discusses the pain of Mary even during her faith at the death of Jesus. And it says, near the cross of Jesus stood his mother and his sister, as well as Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. And Jesus saw his mother and his disciple, whom he loved, which is John, standing nearby. He said to his mother, "Woman, here is your son." And then he said to the disciples, "Here is your mother." So from that point on, the disciples took her into his home. John took Mary into his home. So here we see that Mary is consistent in her faith through each stage of her life. The birth, which is the joy of Jesus' birth, the glory of his ministry and his miracles, and the enduring the pain, the cruel and unearthly death. And Jesus entrusts his mother's care to John, whom he loved. He says, "Woman, here is your son." And he says to the son, "Here is your mother." So Mary is faithful even unto the end, even though her faith ends in pain. She maintains her faith in God. This is Brother Ron with the Sunday School Summary for Sunday, July the 26th, 2026. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed week, and we hope to see you next Sunday for another edition of Sunday School Summary with Brother Ron.